Hi everyone, my name is Monique Mondragon, and I chose to do my presentation on Erik Erikson and his theory of psychosocial development. So, Erikson was born on June 15th, 1902 in Frankfurt, Germany. After dropping out of art school, he spent time roaming around Europe contemplating his identity, and this is important and contributed to his theory that I'll discuss later. He then became a teacher in 1927 at a psychoanalytically enlightened school for children started by Dorothy Burlingham and Anna Freud in Vienna, Austria. He earned a certificate from Maria Montessori School and then participated in psychoanalytic training at Vienna Psychoanalytic Institute and received a certificate from them as well. It's important to note that he never received a formal degree for his work. Or never received a formal degree for his studies. So despite having no formal degree, he was still offered a teaching position at Harvard Medical School in 1933. He also taught at Yale and UC Berkeley, among some of the other schools. So some basic principles of Erikson's theory. One basic principle that his theory is based off of is epigenetic principle. So this is the biological organisms that develop sequentially, with various parts of the organism developing before others. And so this kind of plays into Erikson's theory in the sense that he believed a child's personality develops through a series of genetically predetermined stages that interact with social interactions in the child's environment. Also, another basic principle of his theory is the psychosocial crisis. This occurs when people feel compelled to adjust to normal guidelines and expectations that society has for them, but they're not certain that they're ready to fulfill these demands. So for each crisis, or otherwise known as stage, there's a desirable quality that can emerge and an undesirable characteristic. People are best able to adapt when they have positive and negative qualities, but with the positive quality being stronger than the negative quality. So these are his stages of psychosocial development. The first stage is trust versus mistrust. His second stage is autonomy versus shame and doubt. His third stage is initiative versus guilt. His fourth stage is industry versus inferiority. His next stage is identity versus role confusion. After that follows intimacy versus isolation. Then it's generativity versus stagnation, and finally ego integrity versus despair. So for the sake of this presentation, I will just discuss and go over the first 5, since those are the ones that kind of have to do with children and education. So first is trust versus mistrust. This occurs from birth to 1 year old. So the positive quality that can emerge from this is trust is built through consistent positive care, and this can be from an adult or caregiver. The negative quality that can emerge is mistrust, and this results when care is inadequate, inconsistent, or negative from the parent or caregiver. Next, we have autonomy versus shame and doubt, and this occurs from 2 to 3 years old. The positive quality that can emerge is a child develops a sense of autonomy when they're permitted and encouraged to explore and play at their own pace. And so when adults allow them to kind of do things on their own. The negative quality that can emerge are children can have feelings of shame and doubt, and this arises when either adults are doing too much for them and not allowing them to do things for themselves, or they're shaming them for behavior that's unacceptable. Next, we have initiative versus guilt. The positive quality that can emerge from this is students or children will have tendencies of initiative when they're given the freedom of choice and if their questions are answered by adults or teachers, so parents or teachers. And then their negative quality that can emerge is children might feel guilty if they're always being told what to do, and then adults around them in their environment make them feel like they're a nuisance, like they're bothering them, especially like when they're asking a lot of questions out of curiosity. Next, we have industry versus inferiority, and this occurs between the ages of 6 to 11 years old, so like elementary to about middle school. And the positive quality that can emerge out of this is children will develop a sense of industry when they're being helped to persevere, when they're being allowed to complete tasks, and when they're given praise for their effort. So a lot of this might come from not only parents at this point, but teachers as well, and educators. And the negative quality that can emerge is students will feel, or children will feel inferior, have a sense of inferiority when they feel like they're unsuccessful or when they're criticized too harshly and too often. So if students feel like they're not good in math, they feel like they can't complete certain tasks, they kind of have that negative, like, I can't do math, it's too hard. So those are the sense of inferiority that might emerge. Next, and the final stage I will discuss is identity versus role confusion. So this occurs from 12 to 18 years old, so basically from middle school to high school. The positive quality that emerges is students will develop a sense of identity, adolescents will develop a sense of identity, and this basically means that they're able to organize different aspects of themselves, such as their beliefs, their drives, their abilities, their experiences, into like one consistent image. And this is an image that is approved of by society and by those around them. So basically they're able to answer the question of, who am I? They kind of have a sense of that question. They're able to somewhat successfully answer that question. And the negative quality that can emerge is role confusion. So this means they have no clear conception of appropriate types of behaviors that others will react to. So they don't have a sense of who they are. They are confused. They don't have a sense of direction. They maybe like don't know what they want to do. For example, like after high school, they don't know a career choice that they want to go into. And so if students are experiencing that role confusion, they don't have a sense of direction. Erikson recommended like a psychosocial moratorium. And this is kind of that point in his life that he experienced this when he went off to Europe and kind of just explored and tried to figure out who he was. So ideally, that's what they recommend, is for students who are experiencing that role confusion and not experiencing or developing a sense of identity to kind of go out there and travel and explore and experience different things to kind of figure out who they are. So that's ideally what could come of that psychosocial moratorium, or what's suggested by that. So in educational practices today, how we see Erikson's theory. First, I see it in PBIS, in positive behavior interventions and supports, specifically in the sense that you want to praise students, you want to reward students, and you use positive language with them. So rather than saying, don't do this, or don't go down the slide, or don't run. So you say it in a more positive way. Please walk, for example. So you change your language into a more positive tone. You're giving students choices. So you're allowing them to pick, maybe you're letting them decide, you can do this or this activity. So they're not given maybe free choice at any point or at some points, but you're just allowing them to decide and have more of a choice rather than you have to do this. You're allowing students to participate in competitive and well-balanced games, and the teams are competitive and well-balanced, so that students feel that they are successful at tasks. And you don't want it to be not balanced or too competitive, I guess, because then students will feel like they're not winning. They'll feel unsuccessful. They'll feel like they'll start saying that I can't do this, I can't do that. In addition, you want to break instruction and activities into smaller steps, and this is again so students feel successful. They feel like they're able to achieve little things, and they don't feel overwhelmed when they can't complete all the steps, when they can't get all the activities, when they don't completely grasp the instruction. You're also letting students create realistic jobs, or realistic goals, I meant to say. So you're allowing them to set their own goals, but ensuring that they're realistic so that they're able to achieve them. You're also giving students classroom jobs so that they feel that sense of autonomy, so that they feel like they're able to, that they're doing things and they have a purpose in their class. They have a sense of purpose in the class. At the older levels, so more at the identity role confusion stage, so that middle and high school, you're providing students with positive role models so that they're able to see and kind of have somebody to follow and look up to maybe help them in their identity development. You're also allowing students to bring interest into their assignments and their projects so that it shows that you're interested. It's allowing them also for their identity to kind of come out into their projects, into their assignments, and for them to be able to recognize that identity and embrace it. Also, as educators, we want to encourage and support our students' interests, and so this can be, just showing an interest in them, getting to know your students, getting to know what they like, what they don't like, going to their events at school, going to their football games, going to their plays, going to their music recitals, whatever it may be, whatever it is, that activities or interests that they're a part of, just showing them that you care, because it's important at that stage, that identity versus role confusion, they look for that acceptance from others. And so when they see that, that they're getting that positive feedback from adults and teachers and their peers, then it kind of helps them to develop that identity. And that's it. Thank you for listening.